just a moment here to clear a couple things up, get some music going, and we're going to do some model prep, I think, here initially. Got a couple of things I want to work on today. I just got done cleaning up my brushes for, the past couple months I've been painting a lot more with starting to stream, and man, I have really put quite a bit more miles, I guess you could say, on the old brushes, and my current cleaning regimen is not enough. So went through, did a several hours soak on some cleaning medium, and then went through and did my traditional soap clean, reshaped them, got them all tidied up. Which is good, I would say. It's been a good. We'll see how they wake back up once I get some moisture in them. But we're gonna start off with a couple of miniatures here. We'll just get these primed up, and there we are. That's focus. Get them primed up and start the sketch on them. I got this little guy here too, and so kind of a interesting little forest sculpt. I had to kind of sculpt his neck back together when I connected him. And we'll see how poor that is or how good it is once I get the primer on. Tactical Booty, good morning. How are you today? Just made some changes to the stream layout. We're gonna see how things look with a reflection. I'm kind of playing around with some lighting. How's your weekend going? Oh man, my buddy's watching the 40K. There's a 40K tournament today. He's heavy into it right now. So I got these fun little projects coming up. I'm glad you're doing well. I figure I'm going to use this as like an academic piece. I got a couple things I want to practice, and this little, he's called the Count. You see his little fangs in here. Super expressive. Dog woke me up barking, but got plenty of sleep. That's good. Dogs have that effect on you, huh? You just like a child. Like, you don't got to worry if somebody's sleeping in when they have a puppy. So we're going to start out with a little bit of, we'll prime these guys up. Yeah, sleep's like a important thing. I ordered some stuff off the airbrush company that we use here in the States, Badger. They're excellent. I finally got my Sotar back in action. I've been doing some cleaning here this weekend. I just kind of cleaned up my airbrushes, got them, serviced pretty good. Cleaned up my desk. We got this new layout. I'm looking for feedback on that for sure. Trying a new background, something more neutral. I like the glass because I can use it as a palette if I want to lay something down. Probably use a chrome to lay down enough paint for this. Tactical says, I love the Count, and I can't wait to see what you do with the forest guy. Yeah, I got his, I don't know if you popped in, but I got him connected here. I started sculpting the cracks on the neck with some milliput. Oh, you got your compressor in. Did you get the airbrush sorted out? Or are you keeping it, or did you return that? that up. Alright. Grab this little piece of paper towel here so I can do some test sprays. Always got to double check after I break down and clean an airbrush, because I never know what quality we're going to be in, if I put it together correctly or not. All right, let's see how we're coming through here on the camera. Getting some spattering, but he decided to keep it. The brush itself is pristine, so I don't see a problem keeping it. Was it just the hose that had some paint on it? Get up in his little ears here. If it wasn't so cold here, you could always go rattle can something like this, but I have an airbrush and it's convenient. You can always brush it on as well. I find if you're going to brush primer, you have to, you benefited from stippling it in, if that makes sense. Like instead of brushing on like you brush paint on a surface, you kind of like stab the bristles in to get it to go into the recesses a little better. Also, the agitation seems to help it like dry smoother, if that makes sense. I don't know. Yeah. I'm glad that that it worked out though, and you didn't get like totally scumbagged by a seller. Dave's Mini Art. Well, how are you today, Dave? Gonna go through a couple of these areas that were a little sparsely covered and give them that second coat, which is always the right answer, huh? Like, do it across the series of coats as opposed to one big one. Most of the time, huh? Sometimes one thick coat is the answer, but I don't think at this stage that is ever going to be the case. Man's ears here. Alright, that's him. Dave says, I'm good, finally caught your stream. I'm usually up in the darkest and earliest of hours. We got Miss Shylin. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. Welcome to the stream and thank you so much for the follow. Says, this is incredible. Welcome. What is incredible? It's incredible that you're here. We're glad to have you. I'll tell you that. Working on a couple things here. We got the count. That's primer work right there. Call you Lynn. Lynn, welcome. We got Dave in here. We got Tactical in here. Your work is. This is primer work right here. There's an Instagram link below if you want to check out the other stuff I do. I can show off some stuff once I run out of paint here, but I'm trying to get these guys rolling. We got this Hobbitses. Look at him. This model is by Fur Miniatures, and he is called the Spirit of Adventure. And I thought, man, how cool is he? Are you an artist yourself, Lynn? Dave? Yeah, doesn't he? If we were gonna give this sculpt marks, I would give it, fur miniatures. The resin is incredible. So absolutely, we're gonna give him points for the resin. Originality, I gotta be rude. We gotta give him like a 3, because how recognizable is this image? It's a story as old as fantasy books, right? Like right out of the original Tolkien stuff. So yeah, they're not doing anything different. But my God, did they knock it out of the park with the quality and the expression and all of that. Yeah, Tago says, oh my God, it's straight up Bilbo. It has to be, right? It's like Dark Sword Miniatures did a whole line of Game of Thrones characters. They did them way prior to the show coming out, and so the characters like Jon Snow and Robb Stark and Arya and Ned and everybody, but they don't look like the actors. They look like they were written in the story, and when you see them, you cannot mistake them. Like that's Jon Snow, even though it's not Kit Harington. I think that's his name. Anyhow, this is not Bilbo after the movies, but man, they nailed him. Lynn says, checked out your Insta. I love it. Can't wait to see more from you. I'm especially impressed by your sets. Thank you. We got Caleb a little in here, just a little bit. Says, Chris, so good to see you. I'm so glad to be in here at a human hour. I started saying that earlier, Lynn. I normally stream it. I'm Eastern U.S. time, and during the weeks, I get up at like 5 in the morning. I start my stream at 5:30 a.m. Do a little work before work, so to speak. Lynn says you can make the coolest custom chess sets. I've actually thought about that. They do make some resin pieces, and you are an artist, yes. But if you checked out my Insta, if you ended up liking any of my stuff, I'll try to find yours and check out your work. Unless you want to link it here, I'd be happy to take a peek once I work through all this black paint. Just trying to find Bilbo's expression in all this. It's kind of a boring section to look because the moment I black in all his features, they go away. But here in a moment, we're going to break out the white paint and we'll find them all over again. More importantly, we'll find them in the volumes, and immediately we'll start to see some kind of atmosphere with it. So when I bring the white in, I'll be picking a light source, and we'll be going super light dusting, and we'll start to find his, what time of day it is, so to speak. And if anybody's interested, this is what he'll be mounted on. I've got this large block of wood so that I can put him on there, and I felt like it needed to be large because we have to find his scale. Give me just a moment here to set this aside. So when I put him on here, I can put a tree and we can put different features, and it'll be like a chunk of the forest. Oh, thank you, Lynn. Tactical Booty says 2 a.m. I get notifications for Chris's stream, and you do come busting in. Tactical Booty comes in hot and heavy. Caleb says, I made an Insta account to document myself doing the 365 days of painting challenge. I figured if I made it public, it would be harder for me to throw in the towel. I couldn't agree more on that. I use my stream as like a social accountability. If I make you guys a promise, it holds me to my word. If I say I'm going to paint on Wednesday and I'm not going to sleep in. Like, why else, if not for you, am I getting up at 5 in the morning? I don't know. I've gotten more painting done since I started this than I could ever. Lynn says, if you are cool with me posting my Insta link, I could do that. You absolutely should do that. More than cool. I'd be upset if you didn't. We got Dave in here, says, cool, and the knot hole could be the front door. Oh, that would be fun. I think I was just going to use this as like the top of a plinth and maybe post him. I haven't gotten a full picture in my head of what it will look like. Ubereem's in the building. But I'm thinking maybe I'll post him here or on this side of this lump coming up. And we can put like tree over here. I'm going to do like big shrubs. Like on a Hobbit, the shrub should probably come up midway across his torso, perhaps higher. I'm realizing that I don't have my overspray chamber, so this might take a second. Over the weekend here, I did some cleaning. Tactical will notice. Ubereams may notice we've got a different backdrop. Quite a bit brighter. Trying to keep things a little bit more quality here. Alright, where are we? There's a little bit of water in this. Trying to clear out this black paint because we're going to be switching over to white here in just a second. The last thing you need is that stuff to mix. Lynn, let's have a peek here. Let me set this down. We'll get this shaken up. I am still also learning the layout here because I removed the keyboard because it's pretty much useless to my actual painting. Ubereem says, you kept yourself busy. Luckily, we could still see the sunrise in the window. Yeah, I didn't get rid of that. Alright, let's have a peek here at what Lynn's working on. People call me Lynn, 22, Twitch affiliate and artist. We got that affiliate status. We have an art on here? Uh-oh. Got some face paints. Okay, look at this cat. I'm a sucker for cats. There's some art. What do you got? First day of Inktober. Super spooky for Inktober. Oh, you got the clown paint going. We got some stream up here. Where's that at? Up top. Ooh, Control V. That's not it. Is it? Would that be the... There we go. The right link going. There you go. If everybody want to check out to that work, that's Lynn's Twitch link. A far more successful streamer than I. Says, I need to post more art than I do. You kind of have to scroll through to see it. Yeah. I do lots of emotes, logos, sub badges. Well, I'll tell you something. I don't have any emotes. I got none of that. So if you're looking to do some dorky work for a hobby painter, we'll be looking for some airbrush hose. Lost it. Alright. Still getting some little black paint spatter here. That's much better. Alright, guys. Try to maintain a level of professionalism here. Lynn says, you need emotes. I do need a lot of things. Look at all that snuggles. Holiday snuggles. Is that a white cat? We got a Rudolph. We got an elf. We got a Santa. Look out. Me and a buddy made my logo. It's pretty cool. Alright. I realize I've been chatting and not shaking too much. Emotes are worth 1,000 words. Areem says, amazing, looks great. Thank you. Alright. We're going to get just a little bit of this white paint. We don't need too much. Alright, let's see if we can find the count in all of this. He is kind of turned up and looking off to this direction. So I'm going to hold him upside down here for purposes of the airbrush. Let me get him in focus for you. Look at him coming down here from this angle. Look out. Shake it. That's right, Lynn. Alright, let's see if we can't find his expression in this. Bring that sculpt back to life. Little by little, slowly, you start to build up those volumes, catch that light source, be much more specific. Maybe a little bit more down here in the neck. What do you think? I think I'm going to leave him super stark on this side, sort of barn doored on the light, because he is a vampire. And I think that that harsh lighting does them some serious justice. And then we'll come back through and we're going to, once I come back in, we're going to sketch him more manually with the paintbrush. With Bilbo here, the spirit of adventure, we're going to be much more holistic, much more light overall, and we'll pocket some light possibly here into his face. But I'm not going to be as, I don't know, just the fact that he's kind of horror, he's a vampire, I think his contrast should be very stark. Lynn says, wow, the details are so good. Yeah, the sculptor on that is phenomenal. And we'll do our best to bring it to life and do it some justice. So for Bilbo, he's going to get much more of an all-over kind of finding of his details. Focusing, as I always do, more on the top of the model, where his face is, his expression. But yeah, now we found the bulk of him. Now we'll focus and pocket around. Oh, there we are. Since the camera moved, I'm still trying to find focus here. Craig Gold. Hello, Craig. How are you today? Uberim says, airbrush booth is for ninnies. Is it not? With the acrylics, it's not a big deal. I'd put if I was doing more than just a couple of models, I'd have my mask on. What do we think here? I do have a mask. It's right here. Look, I'm ready to raid something. All right. Yeah, I think we're looking good. I'm a ninny as well. Spottis. S-P-A-T-T-I-S. Spottis. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. Welcome to the stream. We're glad to have you. How are you doing today? Yeah, we're gonna come in and do some work with this. The wiggle is real. That's right, Ubereams. If anybody's interested, make that corgi dance. That's the real reason we're all here. Let's see what we have here. Lynn says, have to step out for a bit, but I'm lurking. Well, Lynn, lurks are life. Have a good afternoon. I'm glad you stopped by. It was excellent to meet you. And seriously, hit me up if you want to do some emotes. And you talk to anybody willing to get back to me. All right. let that soak. That's good. And what do we have here? Let me grab my palette real quick. I set it over here. It's not too far. I set it up yesterday. Figured if I'm going to make this a longer project, I should take some care here. We got George Secondicas. George, I really want to be better at your last name. I'm going to need you to do an Instagram live video where you remind us what it is. There's a Polish, I'm big into MMA, and there's a Polish, well, she's a former champion at this point, but her last name was, or I guess her full name is Joanna Jędrzejczyk, and it is written in a, to me, the way Polish write their names is very, very foreign. So without her saying her name like that, I would have never pieced that together. But welcome, sir. I'm still awaiting your package. I'm sure when it gets here, it'll be a great day. I got a couple of fun projects here that I'm going to be working on. George is an incredible sculptor. If any of you have not seen his work, you should see his work. Tactical Buddy says, George, I've seen some of your sculpts. They're amazing. Are they not? So first we're going to start with the count here. I'm going to be using some heavy-bodied titanium. Oh, God. I'm going to add a weight to that cork because that happens after I put some time and effort in. And hear my grown self get some crying going. Alright, I'm just going to be using I don't know if this is going to be too big for the count here. It may be. Let's see. Get a bit of a bigger bristle here too. Yeah. Here's what we're going to start out with. It's a freshly cleaned, well-loved number 2. I soaked it in some heavy brush cleaner and then sculpted it with the soap like I normally do. So we're going to give it a little trial run here. I'm grabbing some heavy-bodied titanium white off my palette, and I'm going to pick like a little area here, for example, where we maybe want some even brighter light. And just with a wet brush, I'm going to like push it around and kind of further define these edges on them. There we are, we're in focus. New camera placement, everybody. I'm going to try to be better as we work through this. Maybe up here on his brow a little bit. We'd get a little bit more of that. George says, thank you, Tactical Booty. Absolutely. Tactical knows where the love needs to be. We're just taking this titanium white that is just a more pure white. We're further defining these volumes. Maybe pick out a couple parts down here in the shadows. Just build up the drama a little bit more. Nirvana says, that's a great looking face. The mini looks great also. You know, the weight of a guy's heart. Look out. Ubream says, are you a painter as a day job? No, I am an IT person as a day job. I run a small IT department for a retail chain. fingies. Get those fingies. Nirvana says, "Oh, miss you, Red Spill." Yes, yes, yes. Nirvana says, "Oh, that's smart thinking. Glass as a palette." Yeah, they're really good for the inks and anything like that. All right, let's get down here on his little pocket on his vest. We're still in focus, I hope. I also fear with this setup, you guys are going to be able to see like every little brush stroke, how poor it is at times. But I think it's important to see like how rough things can be because they look so smooth at a distance, right? Like you look at a model at 3 feet, you're like, oh, that's nice, this and that. But up close, sometimes you can fear too much. You think, oh, that didn't look good. But the reality is, it looks like that for everybody. They're just not showing you how it really is. Vanquisher says that, George, you're an amazing sculptor in person. It's my honor. Caleb a little. We got Ruben Sandvich. Is that how you would say that, Ruben Sandvich? Caleb says, thanks for the emote. Get more emotes. Caleb says, I have to settle. Tactical says, poor. Spada says, I am really new to figure painting, but can you explain you highlight before putting on base paint? Yeah, this is just a primer. If you'd caught the beginning of this, each one of these models got sprayed black primer, and then I sprayed deliberately on this one in particular from this angle to find the light source, because he's kind of turned that way. I just picked that angle. You could pick whatever angle you wanted. And then I came through with a brush and kind of picked out more deliberately, sketching sort of with paint to find where the lights would be, how they would hit. Him, he's kind of a vampire, so we're very dramatic. Things are very stark, black, white, not a lot of gray. But for Bilbo here, we're just trying to find things a little more fancy-free. He's the spirit of adventure. He should be... But yeah, we're just going to find where things need to be, and then we'll paint over it. If you're new to painting, this might be useful to you. You might find it not so fun. I love the sketching. I think it helps me... I was sort of explaining this earlier. I may not have finished the thought. It helps me learn the sculpt a little bit, because there's so many little nooks and crannies and little pieces, and you know, a lot of times when I'm painting something, if I'm having a struggle, I wonder like, what is this portion of the model? Like I'll get in there and be like, is that a belt? Is it a strap? Is it this? Is that? Vanquisher says, I'm working on Secret Santa this morning along with you, Chris. Fantastic. I feel like I'm gonna work on so many projects at one time, people won't know what's what. But yeah, the sketch helps me come through and, one, figure out where my highlights need to be, which is a nice thing to do. But it will also help me figure out like what, like I'm realizing in here he's got a little ascot, like he has a little something busheled up under here. And so I can see where that begins and ends without having to repaint something. That's not bad at all. Okay. I think we're in a good space with both of those. Oh, Spottis. Tactical Buddy says, Chris is always happy to explain and teach others about his process and what he's doing. Spottis, thank you so much for the subscription. How are you today? Working on anything fun? Anything we can help you out with while we're in here? You got a number of artists, incredibly competent painters in here. A little bit of coffee. Sorry if I slurp. I try not to, but it is what it is. We work on all kinds of things in here. Here's a recent model we finished up. I am not happy with his eyes, but I don't know if I ever will be. The toad eyes are just weird. I like the wet blend. I'm trying to learn more. Let me hit this light here. Ooh. A little bit more light for you. I work on trying to find where shadows would be, as opposed to where they may be sculpted. Yeah. We're working on King Richard as well. Might do some work on him this morning while we're at it. Working on the reds of his robes. Again, finding those volumes, like right here. Even though these ridges are sculpted as high edges, you know, they're going to be in shadow because underneath the pouch and his arm and the bulk of his head. So we're kind of making the shadow hit where it's going to be, even when the light's on it. I think that's important to do. Just kind of finding those base coats. And this would be the next step. So after this is when you put the colors down and you make them, so like this robe is red and we've painted that shadow up in underneath there. And so for him, like let's say for example his jacket is maybe a red-brown. And so under here would be a lot darker than it would be where the lighter part is. This just kind of gives me like a guide for where to make those colors happen. And actually, I think a red-brown would look really nice for that. So, let me just mix up a little. A little something here. Just start to find these colors. Spottis, give me just a moment to lay this paint down in here. And I'm just using a darker tone here in these recesses. We'll give your message here a second. Goes Ruben Sandvich says, sorry for the frequently asked questions, but did you make these models? No, these are actually, this is a Fernando Ruiz or a Roman Vander. I have to find Roman's last name and see it to pronounce it, but you can purchase them on Fur Miniatures. I just paint them. I wish I had the sculpting chops. Soon I will have a beautiful sculpt from somebody in chat here. George is an incredible sculptor. And so I'm using this kind of under sketch that I made here to show me where I should be putting my shadow colors and my lighter colors. I'm just grabbing this darker brown and painting it where things are darker. Pretty thinly. It's kind of a glaze consistency. Up underneath his bag like so. And then I'm grabbing my brighter color, my redder brown. I'm not cleaning my brush or paying too much care because the paints are going to meld together. I'm painting it in the brighter areas. Sorry, a little itch in my eye there. Maybe a little bit more of this tone up top here. Dribble this this darker tone here into these recesses a little bit. Maybe back here a little bit more as well. On the underside of the arm as well. And then we'll grab that brighter tone, that redder tone. Excuse me, as I clean off a little bit of excess. And we come across the front here and just make them touch. And then they can dry. And the other thing is that even though we're using a darker tone in places and a brighter tone in other places, because we have black in some places and white even up into an even brighter white, what do you think that does to the paint? That's going to cause, in those darker areas, it to shine. That black is going to be so strong, it's going to eat up a lot of the vibrancy of the paint. Excuse me. And where the white is, it's going to allow the paint to show its color even more. And so we're getting contrast many different ways here. All right, let's take a look at what you said here, Spot. It says, I just picked up the hobby after 25 years, so just soaking info and learning right now. Basically, just prime some figures and waiting for some colors to start with. By the way, I like your beard. Well, thank you so much. You know, it's an everyday effort, this thing. Yeah, you're in a good place. Priming is very important. The initial prep of the model, I know it's a step that a lot of people skip because it's not as, I don't know, say sexy, right? Like, it's not a sexy step. It gets covered. It has nothing to do with your final result. However, it is, if you're trying to, like, you're looking at it as we're just starting, right? And you want to jump up. The biggest thing that helped me out was learning that initial step, and here's why. For example, I'll show you a couple of Space Marines I'm working on. And if you want to see more pictures of these or how they evolved, I documented it all on my Instagram down below. Feel free to have a look at that. It's where I document most of my process. So, for example, this guy's probably an excellent one. Well, we have, yeah, here's another good one. So you look at these cloaks. And what I've done here is a little bit, I'm trying to stretch my legs and work a little bit harder on, this is only for tabletop, but at the same time, it's a more complex concept of what do we want to see out of the model. So we have instead of going from a lighter color to a darker color, I've blended 4 colors together here. We've got a turquoise and a purple and a maroon and a brown. And when you worry about the undersketch, you can understand where those shadows should be, like why this is darker here versus brighter up here. And you just pick your highlight and shadow zone. And it is starting that as soon as possible will make you a better painter. It'll force you to start looking at things in the right way so that you can do things. And this is rough, it's very stark, and there's a lot of things that you could pick apart and try to do differently, and I wouldn't disagree. But for a tabletop army, give me a reason to practice that. And if I could go back and start anything any sooner, it would certainly be in that vein. So yeah, take time with your priming. Be thin. Don't let things pull up and steal your details. So on the other side here, we're still in the shadow quite a bit. So we're just painting that darker tone down here in this under area. And instead of just that pure highlight color, I'm going to mix in a little bit of our shadow tone into it. Because we're here on the other side of the model, where things are quite a bit darker. And so even our highlight should be darker than on this side. And again, the fact that we're in shadow in terms of a lot more black, that'll only help us out even more. Try to get in there. There you are. I'm just grabbing even more of that shadow tone, and I'm going to pack this up in here from the bottom. Another thing about just painting with wet paints, you don't have to be so scared about, are you in the lines or whatever. Just let it dry. Just paint it. And if you're not happy, paint over it. As long as your paints are not laid on too thick, paint this thing 6-8 times, no problem. Tactical Booty, what do we got here? Ubrim says, thanks for the emote Spottis. Yes. It's the only way you're getting them in here. Clearly, I'm not ever adding them. Absolutely amazing. Ubrim says, buy an airbrush if you have the money. Airbrush is, if you're in the hobby and you're going to invest, it's an incredible tool. It'll help out a ton. Speeds things up. Helps keep things reasonably smooth. Okay. Just going to further saturate our colors in here. It's important to keep things somewhat organic. And yeah, that's one of the biggest things is also don't worry too much about the model. I like to paint wet on my miniatures and just move the paint around. Good paints from companies like, I know Citadel's a huge one, but honestly, I use just artistic paints. These are Golden brand acrylic heavy-bodied paints I'm painting with right now. Reaper is an excellent company. Privateer Press makes excellent paints. You said you're waiting on some, Spottis. Who did you get your paints from? By the way, there's no wrong answer to this. They all have just different properties, so it's a matter of what kind you got based on what I'll say next. Sorry guys if I left the camera there for a second. It is a new placement. Army Painters complete set. Oh, you got the whole set. Dang. Yeah, that's going to be good. Their washes are second to none. Just going to mute down a couple colors here on my palette. Let's see, what do we want to do here for this bag? purple is so strong, I am trying to be careful not to bump other things because it will, especially the backpack, being wet right now, it'll blow it out in a hurry. Hank says boo. Dave says soft blue would go well with the orange brown. That's a good point with a little blue. We might take this a little more blue as opposed to this royal purple. We'll see. I'm going to put it down here first and we'll go from there. Hank says I'm good. Doc says Sunday pop-up stream with the buoys and gals. There you are. How you doing, Doc? Checking out this new backdrop. I gotta be careful here. Fit this down in there. Down in there. We'll see how we feel about that as it dries. Maybe we'll get a little more blue in it. Let's see here. A little more blue, little more blue. See what we got. Doc says, I like the happy little purple scarf. We're going to give him a happy little backpack strap here. Earlier, we were talking about one of the values I find in sketching first. And it's because it helps me find the model a little better. And here's a prime example. This little line here is his backpack. I don't know how it is both over and under his jacket, but I believe that's what it is. See if we can get his little scarf here. He's got a little ascot up in here. We've got a lot of paint on the brush here. Try to clean that off a little bit. Try to get all these little folds. Believe we're in focus here. Get up in there. Tidy this up. Oh yeah, I mean, nice little whoopee there, no big deal. There you are. No big deal. Oh hey, I missed a couple spots up here too. Alright. Second coat is always the best coat with the ink.
Second thought as to what is fair. And now we, as we take what we don't need, human nature walking on 2 feet. In the cold, bury me up to my head.
Alright, we missed a little bit up there too. But that's alright. We're good now. Bring these shadow tones up here a little bit higher now. Now we have a little bit more deliberate plan for the colors. Certainly underneath here quite a bit more. Maybe even a little bit starker down here in the bottom. Just want that contrast. Contrast forever, huh? That's a lot of water. Paper towel, anybody? There we go. And then, if we can build the shadows in place. Still have quite a bit of that paint on there. Beat the devil out of the brush a little bit here and get some of that paint off. There we go. That's a bit nicer, huh? Okay. Just get these to sort of sketch in together. Get a little bit better coverage up top. And then we can start to refine. That'll be next. Sort of like how we're going to go through and start refining the jacket now. Just work down these ridges. We're sort of building in the volumes with just the color. We're not working with a shadow tone. We're just sketching along the sculpt. Further building, adding to the saturation where we want more color. Man, I'm blowing up. So you guys up in my Instagram? Checking it out? If you are, I appreciate it. Like I said, with that undersketch where the black is, it kind of naturally desaturates your paint. And so if you just come back through and you're painting thinly enough, you can saturate your colors even more where you want them. And here we are. Just adding a little more yellow up here on these ridges. A little bit of yellow. This is the same yellow I used for the backpack. Kind of one of those things where if you're going to use a color in one place, maybe you use it everywhere. I like that. That idea, at least. A little bit up there, maybe. Good, I think. What do we have here? I don't know if I'm happy with this purple. The more I get painted on here, the more I'm thinking we need to change it up a bit. Let's have a peek at it like this. Just add a little bit more red to it. Ubream says purple is the best color. Purple is an excellent color, and I think I'm going to end up shading all my leathers with a purple as well. But I think for right now, that's just too much purple. I think it's a less is more kind of color in this respect, where if the purple's in this color, it'll be better than if it's all purple. I'm actually going to check my phone here in a second because that thing is going to town. We'll give this model a little bit of time to dry as well. A little bit more red helped that out a lot. I might even build up those riffles and go a little more red even yet. Let's have a peek here. Everybody blowing it up here. My buddy's is following the 40K event that's going on right now, and he's way into it. Oh dang, yeah, you guys are blowing me up. It was all of you the whole time. Ubrim says, I love the glazing properties. Yeah, purple can be really, really good at a number of things. And one of them, it depends a lot on the medium, too. Go. Let's start adding a little bit of color to this shadow area. A little bit of a glaze here. I'm trying to manage how much paint I actually have on my brush. This is just
A little bit of purple in there as well. I suppose we need some of this. Okay, that's better. I was forgetting a color that I had in this mix. We'll just start sketching these ridges. This whole area up here, even though there's some ridges, is going to be shadowed. And what else underneath here as well? Probably up underneath the arm in here. Maybe even in this little crook. These little deliberate little sections here. Suppose I should paint the bottom of the jacket, maybe. Probably should his pants be something neutral, maybe. That's going to be our shadow tone. Where did my red go? There it is. Whoops. Punch up the vibrancy a little bit. This is just a little bit more red to the mix for the highlights. Kind of start working those transitions. Their paint's a little bit more vibrant. I like pigment. I will say that the more I paint, the more the colors that I'm drawn to have color in them. Of course, the ochre. Of course, there will be yellow. I think that's one of the more important parts with leather, is that it should be many colors. Get some of this. We're just kind of wet blending this in here. Where I think I've overpainted, we'll just reclaim. Use all the colors at once. Keep them wet. Gives you the opportunity to work back and forth. Ubreem says, is it true that calling someone yellow chicken is really a bad thing? I don't know. I don't know what a... The color yellow, at least like old-timey westerns, meant you were like a coward. I don't know the root of it. being old and American cultured like that, it's probably something racial, and we should avoid it. I don't know. Try not to use sayings without understanding them, to be honest, for that very reason. But sometimes it's not. A lot of times it's not. Get some of these reds in there, some of these yellows. And while the paint's wet, just move them around and let them dry. And you get almost these impossible colors by doing this. And since he's the spirit of adventure, I think he should be kind of fantasied. He should have these fun, not cartoony, but whimsical? Is that the term we'd want to use? Whimsical colors? Between yellow, red, and purple buildup here in our colors. Let's get some of that like that. Oh, touch his vest. How dare we touch the vest? Have to tidy that up before we get into it. Just tidy that, tidy that. So I thought it was a U.S. thing. Yeah, hence the question. Yeah, I don't know. We gotta look that up. Alright, let's start up here with the shadow colors into the recesses. And then grab our vibrant highlights. Just kind of stipple this across here. So we're not dealing with anything crazy. Maybe I get a little bit bolder across there.
What you searching for?
Maybe a little bit darker down here.
Yeah. What you looking for?
And let's see here. We're going to stipple this yellow across here. Maybe on this ridge up here.
Sun goes down. I'm on the hunt for something real good. What do I want? I'm willing to take my time. I ain't in a rush. I color outside the lines. I paint with a brush. Hush.
Alright.
Listen to the heart. Trust. There's intuition in the dark. Catch a vision of the stars. Living in the moment. Forever getting lost. Looking for love.
We'll let that dry. Here on the other side, you can start to see a little bit better about what we're getting out of the jacket.
Searching for something, looking for roots, shoots. That made me North Shore bound. How board shorts and a surfboard sound. I tell the ocean preach. I'm at peace like peace. All around the world trying to find my mind, but each and every time I say my mind.
This nice brown and purple mixture for the shadows.
There's nothing that I
We're just gonna
all around the world trying to
be
find
more deliberate.
but each and every time I say my I don't know nothing. But there's nothing that I can't.
This kind of organic, like mixing of them and layering, I think it just builds up over time and it looks good.
Shit is so great, shit is so great. What's really up though? Who's ready to rage? Been ready for days. World is but a stage, so turn up the PA. Resonate in the bay, turn the beats up. Shit is so great. Who really up though? Who ready for rage? Been ready for days. World is but a stage, so turn up the PA. LTPA, feel the beat, Feel the beat, Yeah. Feel the beat.
Let's just try to get these little ridges, a little bit of contrast in there.
Sun comes up, I'm on the hunt for something real good. What do I want? I'm willing to work real hard for my peace. I'm willing to push real hard for my peace. The longer the journey, the harder my feet. You can't comprehend it, the part that I teach. The part of my reach is part of my speech.
I'm just gonna glaze some of this purple in here.
So how I feel to be an astronaut? Cause the Earth is but a space station. Tell me what you really after, dog. A PlayStation or a vacation? Man, if y'all
Stipple this glaze into here. Further defining the differences in these little ripples. Maybe even a little bit down in here. Vanquisher says, I've returned with a belly full. Well, the type of thing we can all aspire towards. A comfortable tummy. We're just glazing in some purples here to add a little bit more vibrancy to the tones. It's a very reddish mixture at this point. Add a little bit more of the darker blue tones to it. And we'll start to hit that even further up into these shadows. Get these little ridges. Purple's such a fun color. And then we got red, purple, yellow, all browns. Should make for a pretty dynamic little jacket. And I think for the sculpt that embodies the spirit of adventure, I think that's pretty cool. Sorry if I left the camera for a moment. Dave says, I have to run. Being on call sucks. Dave, good luck with it. Alright, that jacket's been worked way too much. We gotta let this beautiful concoction we've made dry. We'll come back to him. See what we have here. Ooh. Alright, what next should we do? I don't even know how to attack this yet. But maybe we could. Mix up a couple of these. I do skin tones. I know you need magenta, you need a green, we need a blue, probably a big fluorescent one, huh? Do I have a fluorescent blue? I think I do. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And a little flame orange maybe. Meet the two in the middle. Oh yeah, here we go. I'll set that there. That'll work. Just gonna mix this up a little bit. These have been sitting for probably way too long. Sorry. Just want to make sure we got a good mix going here. Alright, that's one mixed up. I think probably mixed up the green one yesterday, so it should be fine. Let's get these other two. I think this is going to need cleared. Oh yeah, look at that. That's a chunky chunk. That's no good. That's no good at all. Oh, get that cleared up at least. Try to... Sorry, that's loud. I'm just over here in my water bucket here trying to clear this out a little bit. Just no big deal. Be quite a bit better there. One more. Sorry about all the noise here. The blue seems to be having far fewer issues. I'm guessing that the pigments are just less dense, perhaps? I don't know. So, I definitely need, I don't need a ton of red tones, but we need some. I'm going to need a yellow. I got them right here. I know where they are at. This yellow. just use some bass tones here. Try to figure this out. Uberim says, sounded like something unplugged. What unplugged? Maybe when I drop my... Clan Wolf says, oh my, what a glorious beard. Well, what a glorious person to have stopped by the stream. How are you now? Clanwolf says, just a bunch of AMP. That face. That's a good emote for him. I'm gonna paint some skin here in a second. As soon as I get my palette set up. And we're going to need some of this magenta. We're going to need some of this blue. Magenta, blue, a little orange in this. I'm glad you're doing well. It's a nice Sunday. A little green. We're gonna need a lot of green for this guy. Let's see what we have here. Clan Wolf, thank you so much for the follow. Says, oh God, Corgi butt shaking. Yes, I'm sure you're glad you followed now. You came here for the art, but you stay for the Corgi. I'm not gonna lie. A second. Got some paint on my hand. Where were we?
And I said, honey,
see what we got here.
I've waited here for you ever long.
Zambies is in with a lurk. Stayed for the Queen's dog. Yes.
Out of her head she sang. She sang. Come down, waste away with me. Down with me. Slow out. You wanted it to be. Out of her head she sang.
My colors ran all over my palette, so bear with me. Gotta remix some stuff. I used a drawer that I have sitting here to kind of rest the palette. Guess what? My inks ran everywhere. Probably be better if I had this in greater focus for you. I don't know. We'll see how it comes together. I think we need a bit darker blue. What is my... There it is, Payne's Gray. I think that'll help out quite a bit. Ooh, almost dropped that.
Scary stories by the fireside, but don't be frightened, love, just forget about it. I will be the one to keep you safe from harm. Making memories for the winter time by riverside. Don't fret your pretty head about it. When it's cold and my shadow keep you warm. See time just fly.
Get up underneath his little snoot here.
Every day goodbye. Oh,
In his little ear here.
I can swear that this is perfect love. The gods above, what do I even know about it? Maybe perfect isn't what I'm meant to find. 'Cause all I need is just your easy smile to last a lifetime. No, I won't go on without it. How and ever did I get to call you mine?
Let's see.
I don't know. Still I
get up underneath here a little bit. Try to eventually here we're just adding a little bit more colors to get the tone to come out a little bit more pink. What do we have here? Hexneck says, what color is that? Is it orange? It's a bunch of colors. We got magentas and blues and greens and yellows and reds and dark blues. Kind of playing around with the color, pushing it around the model. Just kind of working around him and pushing the color different places. How are you, Hexneck? Ubrim says, impressed with the blending. Yeah, we're getting it. It's one of the benefits of working with wet paint. Different consistencies allow you to pull stuff different ways. Oops. Just introducing more red where you want more life and taking it away where you want more death. And I don't know, because this guy's a vampire, like, to what degree is he undeaded? Is he freshly turned? You know, is he freshly fed and so there's a little more life in his skin? I don't know how it works. So I'm just trying to work it until it's cool. Just a little bit of this Prussian blue down in here to kill off the undercoat. This nice pink tone going. Might be a little too pink. little bit of flush up here in his cheeks. Oh, see? Might be working a little bit too fast here. Yeah, these paints need to dry. Just blend that back a little bit. Maybe a little more yellow into this. He's starting to come together. Clem says, I hope everyone is having a lovely day. I am having a pretty wonderful Sunday. I hope everybody else is as well. How have you been, Clam Wolf? So I kind of got lost in the blending here, which is likely no good for anybody. Get just picking these volumes out where we have them.
till the evening comes. Hold that dress over your head, lead me to your pretty bed. I don't mind staying here until we're dead.
Maybe that would be something nice to do, like have half of him be like a normal skin tone and the other half of him that's in the shadow be that undead kind of green and blue and creepy, and have like that duality between like the half dead. Maybe that's a little too on the head, I don't know. We need some more fluorescent blue. DC says, hey, Chris in chat, highlighting is looking good. Well, thank you. Bring some more blue into this color here. Now that we're kind of dry over here on this side, we can start to
Your hair falls beautifully, pour your body over me. I think we're both exactly where we need to be.
get some purple tones in here, which will bring some life to it, but at the same time still let us remind us that he's not all there.
I can't take no more delay. I want that California sway. If I had my way, I have your California sway.
Get this mixed up in here. How have you been, DC? Is anybody working on anything fun? I know we got Clan Wolf working on a bunch of stuff, not the least of which is a tummy ache.
Can't take no more delay. Want that California sway.
Beautiful magenta in there.
Have my way. Have your California sway.
Probably a little more of this blue up in there. Think some more blue up in here. Way too much paint in there. Get in there.
may see a man close up his open hand and see how greed might motivate a reckless fist, and you will witness pain,
There we go.
those petty pursuits for gain, but you will never see a hearse.
Across here, down here maybe.
No, you will never see a hearse with a trailer hitch. Oh, hungry ghosts in the land of milk and honey.
I don't know, maybe we'll let this dry. Clan Wolf's definitely working on Typhus. Hex was working on a Venom Crawler. Correct. DC says, I'm doing good, thanks. I finished working on a few half-orcs for D&D, but now I'm out of minis to paint. That doesn't sound right. That can't be possible. You're out of minis? That's no good. Waiting for more to be delivered. You might want a feat of strength, to be honest. So we got this odd purpley tone here. A lot of green in it. I don't know how I'm going to bridge this gap. How do you bridge these two colors together? What you have to do maybe is just them both on there and just blend them, perhaps. Perhaps that'll work. See how that looks. We'll let it dry. Total learning experience for me. Kind of this mahogany color, and I'm digging it a lot. Bring that down here just a little bit. Gotta find the colors where I like them, and then I can perhaps start to refine them. Nice gray tones with the greens are kind of fun. Maybe it's less is more. I don't know. Yeah, DC Pathfinder 5th edition. What did you say? Working on half-orcs. It's interesting when you bring some of that highlight down into the recess where it should not be. It kind of makes it look that much better. He's kind of fun, man. I don't know. I'm digging this thing. Stipple this blue down here into the furthest recess, but I think a little more red in here. We'll start.
Yeah, you know I'm steady. Yeah, taking my time.
101 says, yo, what's up? He looks like you. Yeah, it good though. Well, thank you so much. Good Ubrim says it does look really good. Well, thank you. I'm getting pretty, this is not something I'm super versed in, and skin tones are something that I'm going to be working on more. Sort of a New Year's resolution, so to speak. So we're just going to try to attack something technical here and keep going till we get it right. I might order a couple more of these. Wouldn't that be something fun? Maybe we'll set up a goal. I'll put down see if we can get money to get 5 or 6 of these things and just line them up. Try them a bunch of different ways. Treat it like an academic exercise. Excuse me, 101 says, what are you creating? I was only joking. You're good at art. Well, thank you so much. This is just, this guy's named The Count. He's a vampire. And I'm trying to practice some skin tones on him. He's got his little fangs. Just picking these little colors out. I'm adding quite a bit more green than maybe I would, for sure, than I would on something alive, but because he's halfway dead, reanimated to speak. I was thinking we might do a little duality where he's more alive on this side than he is over here. Maybe he'd be quite a bit more dead in the shadows. Could be fun. A little more red here. Almost where the light's hitting him, he still has some life. Art Plushie with a huge raid! Good afternoon, everybody. What kind of manic episode O-faced work have you been doing over with Art Plushie? I'm sure this is going to be quite a bit more chill than what you just came from, so I hope everybody's having a good day, enjoying their Sunday. We are working on a little vampire bust. Our plushie says, "Good day, sweet bean." Well, good day back at you. How you doing? Too much work for their liking. Oh, you were getting some work done? Or am I getting the work done? What were you painting?
Things are finally gonna go my way. Right at the time when I thought that I might start to drink it, you'll come around and taste. Ooh, the bit hot rum on my tongue. Yeah, like a fine young summer's day.
Let's see what we got here.
Ooh, I never knew it. I was
Just cleaning up now. Sadly, yes, basing some night haunts. Okay. With the scullies? Was that what I heard you doing the other days? Putting skulls on the bases?
thinking of a way to make you smile like I did. Oh, when I did.
Hope everybody else is having a good day. If anybody's working on anything fun, I know we had Clan Wolf in here and DC and Venom, and they're all. I'm sorry, Hex is working on a Venom. Clan Wolf is working on Typhus. We had DC working on some D&D half orcs.
Things are finally gonna go my way. Right at the time.
We're just trying to find the proper colors to bring this vampire to some respectfully undead life.
Hot rum on my tongue. Young girl, you saved the day. You're sitting like a weapon in my pocket, baby. With the charm and shine of a four-finger length blade. I'm waiting at the door just to greet you, yes. I'll pluck every single flower off of your white dress, And if you come in early, we'll burn like virgin yin and yang insurgents at the birth of the universe. Oh, yes.
Sorry, guys. I'm tracking off here. We got Internet John. Internet Jojen? J-O-J. It's a very, very dark blue that you have here on my darker view of screen. Says, see, no one believes you when you say you got work done because we all know better than that. Art Plus says, nah, that's the stream or two away for these. Major, nah, you're just a stream or two away from these. Major work was just applying texture paint to the bases. Understood. We'll have a photo on Insta and the likes a little later. There you go. Ubream says, stop. Dinner time. Thanks for the streaming. Take care. Cheers, Ubereams. Thank you so much for stopping by and keeping the chat flowing. Plus, she says, dinner. Dinner sounds good. Found an O face out of the dinner. What are you eating? Hexneck says, I'm trying to do a Mortec crawler. Let's see how the leather's dried on our little hobbit. You guys are coming out pretty nice. Decent. Yeah, coming together. Well, if everybody would pay me just a few moments, I'm gonna go throw a couple logs on the fire and grab a drink of water. And then I will be right back, and we can continue work with this lovely county boy.
Honey, honey, get the kids in the car now. Put the cash in the trunk, get the keys, let's go. Hit the biggest bank in Chicago.
I think this is good.
With the thieves you know.
I mean, this sketch is always rough, but really kind of brings things together. Or at least puts it in a position to be brought together.
Promise I'll be right behind you.
Alright, I'll leave this. Well, what if he falls? That'll bum me out. What are the odds it'll stay? There we go. Now he looks like he's kind of making an O face at that angle. All right. Let me, like I said, I'm going to run an ad, and I will be back in a moment.
3 kids in the back of a cab. She said, "Come here and kiss your wife."
Just a quick water and a couple logs on the fire.
And I know you're real mad at me. You're on your way to some kind of life. Daniel, John, and Abby promise me you treat your mother nice. Keep your lights down. Keep your voice down low. Wear your head down, whichever way you go. And I'll meet you in Idaho. And I know you'll miss me. I'm barely 50. Coming with me for all the debts I owe.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying I think I made it. Pretty much on the spot, huh?
Kiss me, just bear with me.
All right.
And I'll be back someday. I hope.
Hexnick says I'm trying to do a Mortec crawler. I think I read that before. And plus she says, all right, it's almost 1 a.m. Got to meander for dinner noms. Have a great stream. Sweetie Bean. See you soon. Well, Plushy, you have an enjoyable evening and enjoy your dinner. Thank you so much for the raid. And I look forward to the photo on Instagram. Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for him for now. I'll pick him back up later and further refine these colors. Get more. Maybe we'll further define a couple things here on his snoot before we go and work on the spirit of adventure a little bit more. My little hobbits. This song's gonna get flagged for sure. This is a good song. Never tried to do something like this before, so I might just work this to a given comfortable point and then pause for some photos and get some feedback before I dive too much further into it. Let's see a little bit down in here maybe. A little bit details in here. Try not to paint over entirely what we've done before. We're just kind of adding more color around it. this little part of his chin here. These sculpts are so dynamic. When you look at the works of like some great sculptors, like I'm sure if you guys have been around in any of the streams where artists are working on like George's works or Sparks' works, like they really set a measure on you as a painter, because there's just so much great work to pick out. You can't ignore these little details, but you also can't sit there and just focus on them, or you lose you kind of lose it in the extreme details. Like, it's hard to say you want this whole region to be a tone, but at the same time, drill. Hexneck says, hard to do a good photo, but this is what I ended up with. Give me just a moment to get in. CC, welcome, and your painting work and colors doesn't stop to amaze me. Oh, thank you so much. At several points in this whole thing, because this is a new style to me, I will say I totally lost my vision of it. Multiple times I was like, oh my god, what is happening with these things? But because the paint's wet, you just keep working it, and a couple times I found it again. I think I've got a better hold on it now. Now it's not quite as wild. All right. A little bit more across the brow here, and then we'll pull up that photo. Oh, you know what? We'll drop some of this color over here. Yeah, right there and right there. All right. Kind of clean the devil out of this brush. We'll have a look at this photo. Oh, that coffee is done. I can't be. I'm trying to pull some more coffee. All right, give me a second here. I'm getting a phone call, and I'm going to look at this, and then we'll get you some feedback.
Something that I had never seen. All of my neighbors were butt naked and were turning green. They started reading out the book of Revelations, proclaiming that some Superman is gonna come and save them. To ease my mind, I started smoking herb and drinking booze. And then a wrinkled man, he popped back on the breaking news. He started laughing as he hung his head inside. For my, oh my, I think we're all about to die. Well, I guess I'm gonna die too young.
All right, let's have a look at this now. So that was my wife. She's out on the road today visiting some friends, holiday stuff, gifted deliverance and such. All right, so this, what is this model, did you say? Remember you saying something to me. Where was it? This is a crawler. What kind of crawler is it? Venom crawler. Okay. So we're working on, this is quite a dynamic piece. It's hucking something kind of gnarly up there, looks like. I dig the purple and blue blends. That's a fun color. Looks like he's being carried by like some skeletons here. Okay. So what are you working on that you would want some feedback on here, Hex? What were you trying to work on to do differently with this piece than you've done in previous pieces? Just colors. Yeah, blue and purple work really well together. Colors are not my forte. Colors are nobody's forte. Yeah, I like what you did with the blend, for sure. Well, what are you gonna do with photos? I'm sure if we got different photos and you were to show me like different areas, we could get into more specifics. But yeah, I like what you did with that. You got that nice gray tones. Technical application of things we're all working on every time we pick up the brush, right? So I like what you did for your highlights. One thing that I would think like in here would help things look smoother is just putting the paint down wet and then adding the next color while it's still wet. That's how I get my stuff to look smooth and sit beside each other differently. You just put them both down and let them kind of figure themselves out. And I think that helps. But you picked a good blue and a good purple because they work well together. I know the photo's not the best blending. I do try to blend them slowly. Yeah, you can't be in too big of a hurry, right? Like here, I'm just working on these colors, and you just can't be in a big old hurry. It just takes a time. Like, you just gotta put the paint down and fail a couple times. Like here, I'm not really happy with the color I'm getting, so I'm just adding another color in. Maybe I think we need some blue, so I'm gonna grab some blue. And just put it in there, and what do we get? Yeah, it looks actually a little bit better. We need some more red, grab some red. Oops, got a fuzzy. Fuzzy looking to ruin my whole day. Grab a little bit of red in there. But the paint's wet, so you just push it around. Like, boom. Just paint it again. No big deal. I think if I was going to give anybody anything advice-wise, that'd probably be it. And also, if you clean your brush and it's a little bit wet, like a little moist brush, you can just come through here and like, it's not too wet, like you got some of this cleaned off, but like I can just come through here and like push the paint around. I think that's probably another big help to me, is the idea that you can just push the paint around. Force it where you want it. Pull it away from where you don't want it. And this is like, I still don't have any more paint on it. I'm just pulling that excess that I had from down here up. I do try to blend them slowly. My children pick them. I don't choose colors on my minis. I'm trying with glazing. Sure. So I wait till it's done and then another thin layer. Now when you go thin like that, you don't impact a meaningful change very quickly, but it does it doesn't obscure your details, so you can work them over and over. Make sure we focus here.
I got the tools and the lack of recognition, just enough to keep me hungry, boy, hungry for food. Fantastic and
The only thing that you got to do when you're going to blend your paints is make sure that they are of the same like pigment bias. Like you think about a blue is hot or cold. As long as you're dealing with whatever the two colors are you're trying to blend and making sure that they're both biased the same direction, you're going to be fine. Because if they're not, then they'll desaturate and you'll get like a muddy tone. And that's no good. Yeah, I found out it does look more natural a lot of times, so I started liking it a lot. Not good at it though. Well, I mean, good at like a lifetime's dedication to be never good at. Like art is one of those things where it's, you know, a path. It's not a mastery. There's very few that ever master a technique, and they're the greats for a reason. But like they were good at. But like for me, I don't think objectively you could say I'm good at anything that I do artistically. But it's a path. I can see like this is where I'm at on my particular staircase, my road that I'm on. If I painted this thing 10 times, this would be the worst one. The next one will be better than this, and the next one will be better than that. And I think that's the way to consider anything technical, and art is technical, because it's less about, you know, where do you stand against, you know, what another person can do, and more about where are you in compared to yourself from the last time you picked up your brush. And if every day is an attempt to defeat the person that you were yesterday, you're doing all right. Don't worry about the rest of it. It's the consistency that's everything. Oh, Snick. Peg says, yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to get that right. I agree. Every time I take part in a competition, I always feel like I'm competing versus myself. And that's the only thing you can focus on, is how to compete versus yourself. Try to get better. Snick, we're just, and everybody that joined in, we're just talking with Hex about, you know, the expression of I try to, like he said, they said that they try to blend, but that they're not good, or, you know, working on glazing but not good at it. My thought was none of us are good at any of it. We're all just on a different step on the staircase of whatever technique we're trying to apply. Welcome in. How are you today? What were you working on? We're working on this little vampire bust. Trying to find his colors. Oh, thank you, sir. We're also working on this little gent. Start just layering in some basic colors. We'll find them. Ah, Snick says, I know the bust. That is good. It's a good one to know. But yeah, we are all just on different steps of the staircase. I think one thing that benefits me when I go to explain different things about my art is that I am not so far removed from my first step. I've only been at it a couple of years, and so because I still remember very much those initial days, I tend to be pretty good at explaining things because I've just been through the misery, you know? Trying to demystify why an undercoat is important, why taking care in your prime and the zenithal highlights and so forth took me so long to sort out. What were you working on today, Snick? Ah, half damage. How are you today? We're just working on a little vampire. Good morning to you as well. Lamunis? NG. I'm sorry if I cannot pronounce your name correctly. How are you today? Welcome in. You're just working on this undead gentleman. I thought it might be fun to make him look more alive in his light source and more dead in his shadow. Maybe that's fun. We'll see how it goes. Hiya, hiya. Welcome, everybody. What are you working on today? We're just covering a little bit of paint philosophy. The idea that there is no mastery of a thing. It is only the pursuit of it that matters. Add a little bit more life into this area. NG says, trying to figure out what classes I want to sign up for at Adepticon. Ooh. Taking some art classes. Who are available for the sessions you could possibly go to? Because there's some really good artists that go to that show. Turkey Jerky says, Sam Lenz does a good class. Sam Lenz does an exceptional everything. He is a rare talent, for sure. And a fantastic streamer here in the community. If you can ever catch one of his streams, I tend to work when he's active.
So long ago, I walked the beaches with my little toes. And I still got love, never present fire burning in my soul. For the land I've treaded,
Sadly, Sam's one of those people that doesn't seem to understand exactly how much he is loved by the community as a whole.
I don't know the way home from here, but I got it in my memory so clear. No, I don't know the way home
He's starting to turn into something. And G says Sam Lenz, Andy Wardle, the Bug King, E.G. Vincent Venturella, Soshi, Banshee, Sergio Calvejo. Oh, God. Are you into airbrushing? Because that's the man. Fabricio Fabari. Well, Andy Wardle, for me, here's the deal. If I could go to Adepticon, for me, I adore the painting style. Andy Wardle is one of them. When it comes to my love of light and shadow, he is a master of that. You want to talk about somebody that you want to go talk to. That, for me, I would love to catch an Andy Wardle class. Ben Comets, he's very unique in the way that he paints. So is Sergio. You have to be, if you want to learn how one of those gentlemen paint, that's a good way to go. Soshi is a student of many of these people, so learning from her could be good as an intermediate. Like, you might not be in a position where you think something that, like, to learn from an Andy Wardle or a Sergio could be good, generally speaking, but also, depending on where you are in your path, without it being a one-on-one style learning, it might not be what you want it to be. But somebody that's a little bit newer to their path, like a Soshi or a Vincent, they might be able to give you a little more of that intermediate, those intermediate concepts. Soshi's excellent. I don't know her personally, but her work is excellent, and the community speaks very, very highly of her. Vincent, that man needs no introduction. Bug King, he's active in the community. Banshee, man, I'm sure he would tear this thing right in half. Remind me what I'm doing wrong. I would love to meet him as well, but you know, they say you shouldn't meet your idols or anything. His style's phenomenal. I'm sure you won't be able to get near him. Half damage. NG is a mod for a couple peeps. Oh, that's cool. NG says, Soshi and I hung out a little bit last year. I also mod for her. Oh, that's really fun. Yeah, I rarely get to catch her streams, but she's an incredible quality painter and sort of beloved by the people that watch her, right? Like her fandom's, I want to say fanatical, but she's a really nice person. I'm a big fan of Aaron Lovejoy's, and I noticed he's got some Soshi gear, which is kind of fun. He's so good. Happy with this nose. Turkey Jerky says, I've been doing a lot of grim dark lately. Yeah, Ben Collins is like everybody's grandfather. That kid's got he's got a lot of children when it comes to style. Like he's like the birthplace of a lot of techniques. Excuse me. And G says, yeah, no, I took 13 classes last year and had not time for the actual convention. 13 classes, that's a lot of information to try to take in. Half Damage wants to take a Vincent class. Yeah, Vince would be excellent. Clan Wolves does all of them. Just take all of them. Snick is back. Welcome back, Snick. Sushi and I hung out last year. Yes, Andy Maud. NG says, true, but to Half Damage, but those channels run themselves pretty much. I've only had to ban one person. This is a good community. I can't imagine there'd be too many, certainly not regulars, that we have issues with. NG says, I want to take all the classes, but a lot of them overlap each other. Turkey Jerky says, I just realized you were here, Half Damage. Just woke up, sorry. I think this is it for now. We'll work on him more later. I haven't made a post on Instagram all week. Because I'm lame. There we go. I think we should maybe work on this little guy's skin for a little bit. Maybe do something a little more lively. Oops. I suppose we should be up here with this. Backs of his little ears here. Add a little bit of this darkness up underneath his eyes. Yeah, I would love to. I've never taken like a formal class in that kind of structure. I think that could be very cool. Let's see. Bring in here. Alright, let's see here. Let's get a little magenta out. Working on some sisters. Everybody got their Sisters of Battle box. I did not. Let's see, are we on the camera here? Just add this little bits of magenta in here. Maybe bring a little bit of green up here into his forehead. taking a little bit of blue down here in the darkest areas. Back side of his little snoot, up in the eyes. Where are we at here? Turkey Jerky says, I'm currently working on Sisters of Battle. I've ran into a problem with Pro Acryl that's just crazy to me. What's going on with the Pro Acryl? They're so pigment dense that I can't manage to actually glaze with them very well. I've had to put them in like a 15-to-1 dry palette to actually get them to glaze. It just boggles my mind. That's interesting, and I wonder if they're not mixed correctly for you. Their transparents are better for glazing. Vallejo glaze varnish. I don't use any of that. Then again, I don't have those paints, but water on the brush here.
I'm lost and I can't seem to find my way home. I've been
I'm gonna start building the skin back up here.
my mind on an endless winding road. All my burdens keep me hurting, ever present, never certain, all alone, make you beating at my soul. It's hard to see the future when the present
A little bit of
doesn't
red to
suit you.
his
Like a blinding cold.
ears.
There's a hole in my energy, it's blurring out my sanity, eroding the thrill of getting on. I don't fit in with society, it's blinding my integrity while undermining my goals. It's blurring my intensity and muting my ability to avoid the bumps in the road. I can't execute the skills I need, relax and keep my dreaming free while stumbling out in the cold. Out in the cold.
A little bit more water, and we'll be jammed. That's probably a little bit too much water, huh? Let's see. That's much better. Much, much better. Just stippling this in here. Let's see about over here. Glaze medium, not varnish, is half damaged. Turkey Jerky says, wouldn't that make them shiny though? Well, you can add matted agents as opposed to gloss agents. I mean, a little medium can go a long way with things that are vibrant, but they're not going to be more vibrant than an ink, and the inks glaze back no problem at all. I might actually I don't own them, but after having seen so many people use them, I might suggest you just need to mix them up a little better. If you're talking about a 15-to-1 ratio, something's way too thick. I'm guessing that your pigments have just risen to the top. Just little by little, we're making this little face happen here. It's going to be a little bit more green here. Down in this area. Go. It's a nice little cheeky highlight. Let's get a chin here. It's not too thick there, just that pigment dense. I don't know. I've never seen anybody pour it into a cup and dump that much water into it to get it to flow. Something's up. Blue in there. Like I said, I paint with calligraphy inks all the time. It's what I'm painting with right now, and they're pure pigment, zero medium, no density necessary, 100%, and they don't even do that. So when something's so dense that it's not glazing, that tells me that we have the medium and it's too thick. Because pigments go on transparent. Yeah, so you know, if you're using an ink that it's a pure pigment. It's super transparent. So whatever's preventing the glaze from happening isn't the pigment. I did almost that entire count in calligraphy inks. Just a little, like the yellow I used was Cygnus yellow, and a little Cawdor red for the base of it. I'm just going to use a wet brush to push this around a little bit. Do kind of a one brush blendish thing instead of the two brusher. Oh, we are not even on the camera here. Sorry about that. There he is. Turkey Jerky says, I just need to fiddle with it more. I mean, I use a vortex mixer, so they're shook pretty well. It's odd, man. How do you like the vortex mixer? I can't justify the freaking expense, but they gotta be pretty nice. I just use my my Sonic Bath.
Top of the hill you see heaven. From the top of the hill you see home. Now you might feel like a stranger, but know that it won't be long. 'Cause ain't no reason to hurry to that other shore. 'Cause you ain't gonna get nowhere.
Turkey says, I got it from my birthday. Yeah, they're spendy, but pretty cool. Do a good job.
You ain't got to pay no mind to that gathering crowd. Just look at our brothers and sisters
There we go.
and sing your song out loud. 'Cause everybody gets a broke down. But you keep your head up high. You got to keep the weight you're pulling, and you get there by and by.
I think we're starting to get a little face out of this. Little by little. It's one of those things. It's important to not be in a big old hurry.
You can go looking for the high ground, but you ain't gonna see nothing. You ain't gonna get nowhere till you know what for. You can go looking for the high ground, but you ain't gonna see nothing. You ain't gonna get nowhere.
That's pretty good for right now on the face.
I said you can go looking, but you ain't gonna see.
Let's see about his handies. Picked up all of the green, huh? Get some orange here. recommendation. I love it. Nomadic Chris, do you know Art of Mike, like the Art of Mike Disney? Who doesn't know about the Art of Mike Disney? Everybody who's anybody knows Mike Disney. Monfly says the party's here. The party has arrived. For those that don't know, this guy knows. Turkey Jerky says, how does Ed do on detail at half damage? Excellent. Yeah, the Mr. Hobby makes good products. Turkey Jerky says, thanks for the suggestion. Yeah, have a peek. I know soon, half damage. Do you remember when the Badger, I guess it'd be 57 birthday is? It should be soon. Modify is what we were working on earlier. We started both of these, primed them up. That's what we've been doing today. Steve Z says, I'm trying to find a pic of his Space Marine mouse. Oh, yeah, he definitely has that. I don't know if he's taken a picture of it or if it was just live, but he showed it all week. January 4th. Yeah, if you're after a good deal on an excellent airbrush, get yourself something off of them on that day, as long as you're not in a hurry. Like, you already have an airbrush, you're just looking to upgrade, that's the way to go. Half damage is no idea about the birthday. Yeah, Modfly knows. Turkey Jerky says, I'll be checking that out. Chaos 4s with a big follow. Thank you for making that corgi wiggle. Welcome, welcome. Just kind of stipple gesturing this glaze into where I want it. Don't mind the fangs. How are you today, Modifly? Half damage says, I did not like my Badger Patriot airbrush. Do you want to sell it half damage? Badger Patriot, you're talking about the 105 or the Extreme? Patriot is the worst one as far as versatility. I'll buy everybody's Patriots. They're incredible. Steve Z says that Nomadic Chris, love your stream, dude. So good, nice and chilled. Well, I'm glad you're here. I normally only get to do this in such an odd hour of the day that we don't get to have too much exciting conversation. And I sit here and I get lost in the paint, so that's never a good thing. But you guys being in here and chatting, keep it lively. I'll just keep sketching this guy up and refining the details again and again. Half damage get to 105. Yeah, seriously though, half damage. What don't you like about the 105? I mean, the thing comes with the same large, medium, and fine loadouts.
And the water's warm, feeling on my head, I take on all the one Lord knows is how to stay sober. With everything your past and you have it to pay. Though I'm hungover, but I'm sorry that I'm late. 18 major colors to the kisses that you gave. And one more I stood out in the rain. But goodbye, love, and good luck in life. And good night, Chicago died with a smile you'd have loved her. Loved her, but you want your love. No, 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 no. Don't shut down on me, no. Don't shut down on me. Don't shut down on me, no.
Half Damage says, mine bubbles and leaks in the end points. The end pointy part does not stay where it should. I don't know if that's a... Modfly says, I'm good today, just doing a bit of rearranging in my studio for lighting. Modfly, I have redone pretty much my entire setup here this weekend. We're going to have to wrap up here in the next 15 minutes, but yeah, I switched over to a glass surface for the, I don't know, a little bit more reflective nature, and also I can use it as a palette when I want to lay certain things down, like my inks. We gotta do something about the weight on that thing. Yeah, that's... I'll stop squeaking you guys out here, but I think that's going to be a nice little addition to be able to do that. So yeah, we took these guys from a base all the way up. On a serious note, Half Damage, if you want, I can walk you through how to probably troubleshoot bubbling like that. It usually means things are either not seated well enough or have some too dense pigment dried up and clogged into it. And that can happen to any airbrush regardless. If you get bubbling around the outside edges, that's just an issue with Badgers in general because they're separated. But where did I set my Patriot? I just cleaned all my airbrushes up. I suppose we can do it with the Sotar here. But like along these here that I'm about to unscrew, you see here? You can get sputtering around either one of these. A little bit of beeswax in the threading can help. I'm confident it's a poor airbrush design. I'm good. Oh, okay. I'm confident that, I don't know how I want to say that. Poor design. Alright. Well. Seriously though, if you want rid of it, shoot me a DM. I have a friend that needs an airbrush and probably get it to him before the holidays. I know he's waiting to buy one off the deal. So if you want rid of it, I got an outlet for you. I'm just going to bring little bits of red into this. Zealous Hunter, welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. How's everybody doing today? Get a little bit of green here. How's your stream going today? Everybody have a good time? What were you working on? We're working on a little Hobbit. blend that out a little bit. So somebody says, hunting raid. Wood Elf number 3 done. Another 146 to go. Number 3 down. Loading them all up, huh? It's a lot of Wood Elves, eh? Steve Z says, you into sci-fi stuff at all, Nomadic Chris? I don't mind the sci-fi stuff. I dig on sci-fi. Makes you ask about the sci-fi there, Stevesy. So Thunder says, we doing the elves. Well, doing the elves is fine, but I've got a few with mounts, so 2 for 1 deal. There you go, there you go. Where's the hobbit's hand? Around his pipe? Around the stick? Where's the hobbit's hand? Steves, are you into jokes? You comedian? Is that what's happening to me right now? Looks like he's missing a hand. Try to get these little feet into focus here. It's that kind of mahogany color. Severed limb. Discord is blowing up. Steve's got to say he's got a severed limb. That's rough. The one hand is a little wonky, but try to just nip that little bit of hand in there without causing too much issue. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to keep them in proportion here. It's a pretty fun little sculpt. I don't want to jack them up too bad. I totally forgot to even start his ear over here. That's something, right? Oops. Let's see. There we go. That'll be better. At least to have started the year.
Last night, I got loaded on a bottle of wine. A bottle of wine. Last night, I got loaded on a bottle of wine. A bottle of wine. But I feel alright. I feel alright. I feel alright. But I feel alright.
There we go. He's starting to take some shape here.
Like